11 minutes past 8 o'clock. It is Monday morning, the 16th day of May, 2022. Good morning, everyone. I'm Scott Michlin. Thanks for tuning in to KSJE 90.9 FM over the air, of course, here in San Juan County. Everywhere else, you can tune in, of course, at KSJE.com. We are working to get back on the air in Durango at 103.3 FM. So stay patient with us, everybody. We're hoping to do that very, very soon. Also, welcome to our viewers who are joining us this morning. The video is streaming out live this morning to the KSJE Facebook page, our YouTube channel, and our Twitter account. So we're glad that you're with us however you make your way to us this morning. Welcome aboard, everyone. Coming up in the next few moments, my conversation with Bloomfield School Superintendent Dr. Kim Mizell. She will be here with me to wrap up the school year and take a look at the upcoming school year, of course, coming up in August. So stay tuned for that. Coming up in the next few moments right here on KSJE. And then next hour, Mick Hess is going to be here roving with the arts. This morning, Mick is featuring music from both Schubert and also Aaron Copland. You'll hear that coming up today. Roving with the Arts at 9:06 on KSJE. We also remind you to connect with us on our social media platforms, whether it's Facebook or YouTube or Twitter. Or you can also find us on Instagram as well. And a reminder, this Saturday, we hope you will join us at 10:30 right here at San Juan College Learning Commons Plaza for the KSJE 0 Mile Fun Run. It is a fundraiser for the radio station. You can support us for as little as $15 or $20 on the day of the race. It is an actual race, but it is 0 Mile Fun Run, so we think you can probably do it. You're probably training for it right now as you sit listening to the radio. So join us this Saturday morning at 10:30 right here at San Juan College Learning Commons Plaza, otherwise known as Graduation Plaza, and you can find out more online at ksje.com/funrun. Weather forecast, it's a cloudy morning so far, but we're expecting some increasing sunshine today. Our temperature at the moment, 64 degrees in Farmington, and we're expecting a warmer day than what it shows on the screen. We should see highs in the upper 80s, not upper 70s, and not as windy as the screen would tell you. So let me turn to my guest who is here with us this morning, as I mentioned, to help me wrap up the school year in Bloomfield Schools. Dr. Kim Mizell is joining me from her offices in Bloomfield this morning. Dr. Mizell, good morning. Thanks for joining me this morning.
Good morning.
Good to have you with us, and it is almost the end of the school year for you and your student staff and everybody else and teachers, correct?
Yeah. Yes, we're winding things up.
Very good. You've got graduation set for this week.
Yes, Friday.
And in person, of course?
Yep. And no limits on who comes.
Very good. Well, that's exciting. I know a lot of folks are excited to be back for in-person events, graduations, and other things as well. So as we wrap up this school year, I wanted to offer congratulations. Your students, a group of your students won first place at the Hawk Tank competition. That is the business plan competition sponsored by Fort Lewis College and San Juan College. They took first place in the student division with a business idea called Mesa Music.
Right. Yes, they are. It's exciting because we just started our business program about 2 years ago. So this is a good accomplishment for that program, and we're excited for the students. They received money and scholarship funds, and so the Bloomfield kids did well. We're proud of them.
Yeah, no kidding. This was an idea, I think, for a musical instrument kind of retail store and repair operation. That was the whole idea, correct?
Right. So to open up a business and how they would manage it and the components of that, the operation of the business.
Very, very good. And so your students, as I understand it, won about $8,000 in scholarship monies, and each one won about $500 apiece for the winning idea.
Yeah, so they were successful and represented the district well.
That is significant. So very good. Well, congratulations to them and to Bloomfield Schools, and very exciting. The other thing I wanted to ask you a bit about was a recent award for your transportation department that the school board presented.
Yes, every year the school board selects an individual or one of our organizations within the district to recognize them for the work that they do in our district. And our bus drivers have been champions throughout the entire COVID the pandemic, and also just getting the kids to school. It's never easy. Our bus drivers drive a long way every day, picking kids up and getting them to school, and they've done a great job. So we just wanted to show our appreciation for the work that they do.
Well, congratulations to them. And you're right. You've told us, time and time again, just how long some of those bus routes are in the Bloomfield School District, because not everyone, I don't think we always realize that the district extends south from the city of Bloomfield along Highway 550 quite a distance, right?
Yeah, we go all the way out to Liebrook.
Very good.
So, yeah.
That's quite a ways.
An hour out, hour and a half.
Right. Well, good for them. Tell me what else is going on as we wrap up the school year. And, of course, I know your teachers and your staff have been working now that students are back face-to-face and getting them ready to complete the school year, and look forward to next year, as I mentioned, in August, of course. But how is the school year wrapping up for your staff and students?
We're doing well. We will be giving those cars away. That are coming up on the 18th. We give 2 cars away for students that maintain a 3.5 GPA or higher, and we have 54 students that are eligible for that, and so that'll be on Thursday, so that's always an exciting event. We also, in our calendar, have made a change for next year, so I just kind of want to let people know. We will be doing half-day Mondays all year to provide opportunity for professional development for teachers and trainings and things like that. We have quite a few teachers that retired, and in the school system, you have to always bring things back and revisit some of the programs that you have with new teachers, and so this will afford us the opportunity to do that with them.
Got you. And so that will be a change for the next school year for all grades. Is that all grades?
All grades. Mm-hmm.
Got you. Good to know. And your advice for the summer for kids? I know there's always that summer slide that people talk about with students. Do you see that in the fall sometimes?
Yes, we have summer regression. We will be providing summer school for students the month of June. So if a parent is interested in their child going to the summer school program, contact the school that their child is in right now. And then also, I just want to encourage parents not to take a break from reading, having their child read or read to them, and also doing math skills, just basic math skills throughout the summer. Take some time on a daily basis to just reinforce what they learned last year, so that they don't have that regression after the summer, and they can start strong at the beginning of the year in August.
Right. Very, very good. Are you seeing, it seems like a mixed bag sometimes of reports of how kids have done this past year, looking at the past couple of years with remote learning and not being able to be in class and then getting back into class and things along that line? Have kids been able to pretty much bounce back, or those that maybe had some difficulties, have they gotten the help they need to kind of get back up to the grade level where they need to be this time of year?
Yes, we have. We've noticed some trends with some groups of kids. So, for example, in Bloomfield, we did not have the one-to-one computer systems or computers for children in kindergarten, first, second. We did have it for third, I believe. So those students, we are seeing them right now. They'll be the third and second graders now. They are behind. And so we have done a lot of intensive work with them. And I haven't seen the final data just yet, but that's why we're also offering summer school to do some catch up with them. It's just concerning for those students that are behind, because we don't want them to struggle all through their educational process. So it's unfortunate that happened, but we're doing everything we can to support them, and that the parents have to recognize it's not the kids' fault, and we're going to all have to do double time. It's a partnership between parents and schools.
Sure. And it's not only unique to Bloomfield, I would think, too, right? There are a lot of school districts that are probably facing some of these same issues, don't you think?
I've heard this something very similar with many districts. The other thing is we had quite a few parents not send their kids to kindergarten. During COVID, they just thought they'd just keep them at home rather than sending them, and those students also are delayed in their learning, and so it's important that they get into the schools and have that social interaction and also the instruction that they need to become successful in academics, basically.
Right. And with that, at such a young grade level, early grade level, Dr. Mizell, I mean, you mentioned that it may impact them further on during their educational careers. And that, to me, rough math would be, what, about 10, 11 years, right? If this isn't kind of worked on early and these children help to bring back up to where they need to be?
Yeah, so we have to do a lot of mitigation on this. And we've added some positions, even at the high school. We've added some positions to support students and teachers just because of the concerns that we have with certain groups of students. And hopefully it will help, but it's going to take a team of people to address the needs.
Right. And as you mentioned, the parents or guardians are a really important part of that team, right? You can't do it without their support at home, can you?
Right. And I think the most important thing is that the parents recognize where their child is and what needs to happen to get them where they need to be. We're communicating with these parents, but sometimes parents tend to be in denial sometimes, and they don't want to recognize the needs that their child has to maybe have to work harder or support them better. And so it's important that you have that partnership and the communication with the schools on what needs to happen for their child. It's concerning that, it's really not the kid's fault. And that's so sad because they're going to have to really work hard to catch up.
Right. But you will have resources for them to help them do
Right.
that, right, with the hard work.
Right.
And
We will provide what we have set forth to do the work that needs to happen for them. It's just a matter of the parents, making sure they're ready to go to summer school if they need it, or working with them during the summer. I would recommend that parents ask their teachers, do you have some materials that you would like us to focus in on over the summer with our child, and see what the teacher can provide as well. I have seen some very good early childhood books and things like that at Sam's Club. So take advantage of some of those things that are available out there, and continue to work with your children over the summer.
Right. It seems to me, Dr. Mizell, that some work now will, as we said, will help avoid maybe some more serious, maybe learning deficiencies or other learning issues later in their school careers, is what you're mentioning.
Right, and that's key to everything for these students. If they go home and they watch TV all summer, or they're not doing anything academically, sometimes you can have as much as a half a year regression, and these students cannot afford that.
Right. I don't think any student could afford that. Do you?
No, but it happens often, and so it makes it even more difficult the gap gets wider and wider for those students in their academic abilities. So I can't emphasize that parents take time in a day, maybe 30 minutes in the morning and 30 minutes in the afternoon or whatever, to work with their children.
Good advice and important information. Dr. Kim Mizell is my guest this morning. She is the superintendent of schools with the Bloomfield School District. And Dr. Mizell, I wanted to ask you, you mentioned about the computer issues before COVID, but that is something that is different now, maybe hopefully coming out of COVID with some money that's been made available, right? Bloomfield has been able to provide more computers to more of your students?
Yes, we have one-to-one correspondence with pre-K through 12th grade now.
For the first time ever, right?
Well, it would be this year is the first time we've had that. Well, and what happened is when COVID hit, we did not have the funding to purchase as many as we needed, and there was also a supply chain problem. So we jumped on it as early as possible, and we were able to get it for 3rd through 12th grade. But then a lot of districts weren't even able to get the computers into their schools.
Right.
So we've been able to do that, and we have that available for all kids.
Very exciting. And that really does, I think these days, make a big difference, don't you, in how kids are able to have the same, at least a baseline with technology and equipment to be able to do assignments and things. And it's not the haves and have-nots anymore when everyone has their own computer.
Exactly. And we've purchased a lot of online programs. There's one called Imagine Read Math and Imagine Reading. And those programs can be utilized during the summer for the students. This year, unfortunately, we will have to collect our computers to see what we have to replace with damage and everything. So we are collecting them and then redistributing them later. So, but just because we didn't do it last summer because I was wanting kids to have access to everything that they had. But this year we have to do some maintenance work on them. So that's just part of the process, and it's a lot of money to replace technology. So we have to make sure we are taking care of our equipment.
Right, of course. Very good. The other thing I wanted to ask you about that we're not talking about too much is the budget. Our state seems to be pretty flush with money these days. There was a lot of attention given to the education budget, I think, during the legislative session. Teacher salaries got a pretty healthy increase, but I think so did our neighboring states as well. But it seems like budgets are bigger for schools, and do you have all the money you need to teach the children that you have in Bloomfield schools?
Well, that's an interesting question.
As I was saying it, I was saying, well, I bet there's never enough money necessarily for all the things you'd like to do on a wish list somewhere.
Right, and that has to be really frustrating for our legislation. You know, New Mexico has been underfunding schools for a while. And so to make up the difference in 1 year is probably impossible. We're just, with the salary increases and the mandated things that had to happen this year, our budget just covers those. The salary increase doesn't cover any operational expense, instructional materials. So we're having to use our cash reserves to cover keeping the schools open. And so that is problematic for a lot of districts. And, it's unfortunate that it wasn't enough. And so we're struggling a little bit. And especially if you have a declining school enrollment, it is even more problematic for school districts. And ours has been declining. We don't have near as many students. And so we don't get near as much money. And so we had enough to cover the salaries, but the rest of it we're having to pick up. And thank goodness we have a nice, healthy savings account, basically.
Right.
So we're going to be okay, but it's going to be without those federal dollars and things like that, when they go away to sustain some of the stuff that has happened, the state is going to have to do huge increases in the future as well.
Got you, and we'll see what happens with those. And the one thing I wanted to ask you a bit about, I think you mentioned it briefly, is the recruiting. Right, that you have openings at Bloomfield schools even as we speak. You're working hard to recruit for the fall, as every school district I think is, and there's a lot of competition out there, even from our neighboring states. As we increase salaries here in New Mexico, it sounds like our neighbors did that plus even more money for teachers, and so the recruitment picture seems to be even more ruthless, if you will, when it comes to trying to find a good quality teacher.
Yes, it's very competitive. Just to give people an idea, we had no idea. We went to recruiting down at New Mexico State, hoping to find some students, and California was there, and they're offering $110 plus a $10,000 signing bonus for first-year teachers, whereas ours is at $50. And if it's a hard-to-fill type position, special ed, science, math, bilingual will give a $10,000 signing bonus. But yeah, it's tough competition out there to try to get people to work in New Mexico, and same thing in California and Arizona. I mean, theirs is quite a bit higher than ours, so it's disappointing because we thought, this is a nice increase, but then everybody else did the same thing.
Right. And then some, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Even more. Now, folks may be listening to us saying, well, the cost of living in California, in a lot of places in California, is probably a little higher than it would be maybe in Bloomfield or Farmington, New Mexico. So there is that, I suppose.
Yeah, I was just in San Diego. I have a cousin who lives there, and he pays $5,000 a month for a house. Rent.
Yeah. So that extra salary is going to go pretty quick probably for stuff like
Absolutely.
that. Or $6 a gallon gathane, I suppose, right?
I think
these
they're
days.
probably doubling up with people in those houses.
Right. So everything's relative. But still, I get your point that as the state of New Mexico tries to stay ahead of some of this stuff and honor our teachers with higher salaries, our other neighboring states are doing the same. And so that makes the recruitment a bit difficult. The jobs that you would say you have most need for in Bloomfield schools, Dr. Mizell, is it still things like those specialized teaching areas like math, science, special education, things like that, or is it all across the board?
Pretty much across the board. At the high school, we had quite a few teachers retire, and so we're needing, the content area teachers like science and math, primarily, and then at the elementary, I think at each of the elementaries, especially in Nabaani, we have like fourth, fifth teacher openings. It's not too bad. We didn't have a ton of turnover, but as you know, if we aren't able to find people, we do hire long-term subs. So those positions are always posted, and we're hopeful that we'll get a certified teacher. So we have please go to our website and look at what openings are available. And Bloomfield's a great place to work, and I want to encourage people to apply.
Okay. Very good. Before we go, Dr. Mizell, I did want to touch back on the car giveaways that you'll be doing later on this week in Bloomfield schools. This, of course, is an idea unique to Bloomfield, at least in our area, where every year you have worked with sponsors and local car dealers to secure some used vehicles for your students that are given away depending on grade point averages at the end of the school year. And so, as you mentioned, this year there are 54 eligible students from your two high schools that will be in the drawing, I guess, for one of these two vehicles that you'll be giving away this week, right?
That's right. We have 9 students from our alternative high school, and then the remaining amount is from the BHS, and they range from 9th to 12th grade. So you're eligible if you worked hard all year and you maintain a good GPA, you're eligible.
Very exciting. And I know you and I have talked about this, and we will again in the fall about the winners. But some years, if I remember correctly, there have been a student whose name has been drawn who hadn't quite learned how to drive or needed his permit and has gotten right on that now that there's a new car in the driveway for that student.
That's happened quite a bit, actually. So, the first year that we gave them away, the 2 students that won the cars didn't have driver's license. So,
whoops.
It was kind of funny. We had to call parents, come pick them up and take their cars home, but it happens more often than not, depending on what age the child is or where they're at in getting their license or taking the classes. So, yeah, it's kind of funny.
But that's some great motivation, I guess, to get that permit, right? And that license.
They were able to get their license that summer, and I saw them driving around in their car, so they got after it.
Very, very good. And I would think a game changer, too, for some of these students, right, who don't maybe have transportation. This is their first car, and so to be able to maybe now get to work or move on to get back and forth to school or college or whatever their plans are, it's got to be a big deal for some of these families.
It is. In Bloomfield, we have a high level of poverty, and these kids are appreciative of anything, and especially a car. I mean, a lot of them don't they ride the buses and they walk to school. It just depends on where they live, but so it's a big deal for them to get something like that.
Very good. Well, it's a great program that you have brought to the district with your superintendency, and so excited for it. And we'll look forward to hearing about the winners as their names are drawn later this week, and of course celebrate your graduation as well and all the successes of your students. So thank you, Dr. Mizell, for joining me throughout the school year. We have a kind of standing invite to pick things up again in August. All right.
That's right. We'll see you next August.
Okay, have a great summer, Dr. Kim Mizell.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Dr. Kim Mizell, she is the superintendent of schools with the Bloomfield School District, so gracious with her time to join me throughout the school year every month here on KSJE. Back with more in just a moment. KSJE is proud to support Riverfest, Memorial Day weekend, May 27th, 28th, and 29th on the banks of the Animas River in Farmington. Enjoy all-day music, food, beer gardens, vendors, crafts and raft rides, the recycled art show, and the plein air painters. Riverfest, a jolt-worthy event, proudly hosted by the River Reach Foundation, sponsored in part by the City of Farmington and the Farmington Convention and Visitors Bureau. Find out more at riverfestnewmexico.com. KSJE is supported by the Farmington Civic Center, bringing a full slate of entertainment to Farmington and San Juan County. The interactive art of Artrageous, Saturday, May 21st at 7:30 p.m. The Farmington Civic Center, 200 West Arrington in downtown Farmington. Find out more online at fmtn.org/shows or 505-599-1148.
Hello everyone, my name is Mick Hess, your host for Roving with the Arts here on KSJE 90.9. Please join me every weekday starting at 9 a.m. for the chance to hear full-length, unabridged opera, ballet, symphonic, and chamber music. I'll share news of local concert events that you may be interested in attending, background information about some of the greatest musical compositions ever written. Tune in weekdays 9 to 10